survivors of the Japanese attack on an Australian Navy patrol ship during World War II. They built a raft and were spotted from the air, but due to a storm, they were unable to be rescued that day. They were never seen again. What athletes of the 19th to 20th centuries looked like? Monumental stone coins used by the people of Japan. They are still used as currency on the island of Palau. On July 20th, 1924, a game of living chess was held in Palace Square, USSR, Russia. Soviet Air Force bombing of Helsinki, Finland, 1939, Winter War. At the request of astronauts, a piece of rough fabric was attached to the inside of the lunar spacesuit's helmet so they could scratch their nose. Apollo 17, 1972. Repairing faults on the Graf Zeppelin airship during a flight, 1934. Photos of Judy Dull taken by serial killer Harvey Glatman, who enjoyed tying up his victims and then pretending to be a photographer. An American Marine offers his cigarette to a Japanese soldier who had pretended to be dead for more than 2 days, 1945. Let's be friends. This was Adolf Hitler's appeal to the global community, 1936. A Chernobyl liquidator prepares to clean the reactor roof. He burned to death from radiation after 40 minutes. Chernobyl, 1986. Winston Churchill is carried on a stretcher after being hit by a car in New York, 1931. Anti-Reagan poster, widely circulated in 1984. Gangster Sylvan Skolnick is wheeled into the courthouse on a park bench loaded onto a mail cart, Philadelphia, USA, 1966. Meet Frederick Grant Banting, the scientist who synthesized insulin, giving millions of diabetics a chance for survival. The knock-upper human alarm clock. This profession existed in England and Ireland during the Industrial Revolution until the 1920s. A soldier's return to his homeland. Vienna, Austria, 1946. In 1998, a bridge was built over the Choluteca River in Honduras, but Hurricane Mitch shifted the river's course. The last public appearance of Chinese leader Mao Zedong, 1976. The kidnapped South Korean actress Choi Yoon-hee is greeted by her new abductor, Kim Jong-il, North Korea, 1978. People pose on the carcass of a dead whale painted with graffiti. California, 1919. Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife arrive in Sarajevo, 1914. U.S. military malaria medicine advertisement during World War II. Papua New Guinea, 1940s. Malaria spread by a specific type of mosquito. Gay activists carry a mile-long rainbow banner through New York City to mark the 25th anniversary of the Stonewall riots, 1994. Packed billiard ball sets made from ivory. The billiard craze almost led to the extinction of elephants, as often an entire elephant was killed to make just 5 billiard balls. Vintage dating tips for single women, 1938. Don't drink too much, as a man expects you to keep your dignity all evening. A man asking for help from a passing car during the brutal genocide in Rwanda, 1994. The battleship Slava, after the Battle of Moon Sound, 1917. Imagine your terror during battle if you had to serve on this vessel. In 1965, 90-year-old Frenchwoman Jeanne Calment sold her apartment to a 47-year-old lawyer who agreed to make monthly payments to her until her death, with the total amount based on a 10-year lifespan. In the end, Calment received money from him for 30 years and outlived the lawyer, with his widow continuing the payments for 2 more years. A Turkish official taunts starving Armenian children with bread. The Armenian Genocide, 1915. A mannequin of an African American before a school protesting the integration of black people, Texas, 1956. December 1942. A bomb labeled New Year's Gift for Hitler. Racial Purity Lessons, Germany, 1940. Albert Einstein at his home in New Jersey, a month before his death, 1955. A Fine Receipt for Believing in God, USSR, 1974. The musicians who played on the Titanic until the very end, 1912. View of Pearl Harbor, Oahu Island, Hawaii, USA, December 7, 1941. And arrested Saddam Hussein, Iraq, 2003. In the photo, the 1st German Division of Sex Intelligence during World War II, they were selected based on their appearance. 2 girls on the streets of West Germany talked to their grandparents through a window in a house in the East Zone, separated by a barbed wire barricade, August 14, 1961. Photo of a Soviet war veteran near the Eternal Flame on the anniversary of Victory Day, 1966. In public libraries of medieval Europe, books were chained to the shelves due to the high value of each copy. A timeless problem, the fight against excess weight. For example, Portuguese monks in the 12th century fought this issue by making a special opening in their monastery's dining hall, so that overweight monks had to fast. March into the underworld. The German unit Freiwilligen Legion Nederlande advances to the line of attack in the snows near Leningrad. 10 hours later, none of those captured in the photo were alive. Mary Connors, the human nucleus, flies over the Avon River in Bristol, England, 1974. A little girl from the Philippines was displayed in the Coney Island Zoo with animals. She was placed among monkeys and lizards, tied with ropes, and people were allowed to throw peanuts at her, 1914. The start of the one-legged World War I veterans race, New York, 1918. The Last of the Mohicans, an indigenous girl, 1960s. U.S. Vice President Nelson Aldrich Rockefeller gives the middle finger to a crowd of hippies during a public speech. New York, USA, 1976. German soldiers testing the strength of the gallows before executing suspected Soviet partisans, 1941. A mother teaches her children, Louisiana, USA, 1937. In the Congo, Belgians cut off the hands of locals as punishment for poorly performed rubber gathering work, late 19th century. Previously unknown photo of Osama bin Laden at Oxford in 1971, about 14 years old at the time. A research aircraft safely lands after flying over an isolated tribe in the Amazon jungle. A license for prostitution, United Kingdom, 1876. King Olaf V of Norway presents his ticket to the conductor, 1973. The king traveled without security and said he had 4 million bodyguards, referring to the number of Norwegians in the country at the time. In the summer of 2009, over 20,000 dogs were killed in the Chinese province of Shanxi by government order. Earlier, in 1983, a special decree was passed in Beijing to destroy all domestic animals as they polluted the environment. Even earlier, domestic cats and dogs were declared symbols of uselessness and were destroyed. Poor Renaissance girls. Over time, it became fashionable to have absolutely no eyelashes. They were meticulously plucked, and it was closely monitored to ensure there were no hairs left on the eyelids. The arrangement of a gypsy baron's grave, photo from the 2000s. 7 Native Americans were brought to Europe as new residents of a human zoo, 1889. Alice Ulpian, Beauty Queen, France, 1921. As long as we have beer and tobacco, we are not afraid of the enemy scum. We will endure. German postcard from World War I, 1916. In 1920, ideas of healthy habits were a bit different. Here, athletes casually share cigarettes during a Tour de France bike race. Alcoholism treatment using the latest method with huge doses of castor oil. Russia, 1916. Telephone lines in New York, USA, 1903. A Croatian soldier saying goodbye to a girl, 1995. It was their last meeting. A World War I veteran begs for alms on a Berlin street, 1923. 12 Soviet snipers who shot 775 German soldiers during World War II, 1945. Edith Piaf and Prisoners, Germany, 1944. During a performance at a camp, the singer took a photo with 120 prisoners. Upon returning to Paris, she sent the photo to an underground workshop where the prisoners' faces were re-photographed for fake documents. She later returned to the same camp, hiding the documents in a suitcase with a false bottom. She smuggled out some people as musicians, while others escaped later. Pilots on a flight simulator, Russian Empire, 1915. The opening of the fountains in Peterhof, 1983. The Maori chief Tomika Temutu wore a moko tattoo, which was applied using a chisel made from albatross bone. The moko displayed his battles, enemies, wounds, status, occupation, and marriages, 1875. One of the largest aviation disasters in Germany. During a bombing demonstration from a dive at low cloud cover, 13 bombers flying one after another crashed into the ground, 1939. Photo caption: my mother in the early 1930s. She would be 100 years old today. A concert recording on an audio tape recorder, Poland, 1980s. A random lifeboat found months after the Titanic sank in 1912. Inside were 3 dead bodies who had initially survived the disaster. A postman finds a house based on the address on the envelope, but the house is no longer there. Prisoners' shoes left at the site of the Butugichag camp in Kolyma, Russia, 1989. reporter interviewing a penguin, 1966. May 2nd, 1945. Soviet soldiers examine German awards that were never presented. In a Japanese village in 1901, girls raised and looked after the younger children in the family so that the parents could work and feed everyone. A man runs with a cart full of diapers during the Los Angeles riots, 1992. Spanish flu pandemic, 1918. It claimed around 100 million lives worldwide. People were terrified of this devastating disease. If today it's the Beatles, then what will tomorrow bring? Christian rally against the Beatles, California, 1966. The Eternal Smile, the Mummy of Hatshepsut, the most powerful female pharaoh in the history of Egypt. Harsh canned vodka for soldiers, 1950. A woman has her head shaved for having an affair with a German soldier, France, 1944. When Columbus discovered America, this continent was densely populated. 90 million people lived here, or about 1/3 of the world's population. But the colonizers destroyed half of the population. The rabbit invasion in Australia. In 1859, Englishman Thomas Austin released 24 rabbits into the wild to add native touches to the Australian landscape. The Australian climate allowed the voracious animals to breed year-round. By 1926, Australia had an estimated 20 billion rabbits. In 1926, 24-year-old Dorothy Ellen accidentally strangled gangster Michael O'Hara with a scarf during an encounter in a brothel. Despite it being an accident, she was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Workers lay a wooden water pipe east of Lewiston, Idaho, 1891. Leather welder's mask, 1930s. When Freddie Mercury died, he had 10 cats, and according to Deacon, he loved them more than anyone. Waitress race carrying drinks, New York, 1967. Anonymous nurse, New York, 1940s. A 32-year-old nurse strangled her lover, a doctor, with a silk belt during a BDSM session in an apartment. He had requested asphyxiation, but she overdid it out of jealousy since the doctor was cheating on her. The court ruled it as an accident. The contents of a Viking tool chest dropped over 1,000 years ago in Lake Mastermere on Gotland Island. The chest was recovered in 1936. The largest submarine in the world, called Akula, USSR, 1981. The first feminists, 1911. A snake man entertains other soldiers at the front, France, 1915. On October 15, 1917, Mata Hari, a dancer of Oriental dances and the most romanticized spy of the 20th century, was executed for espionage on behalf of Germany. Mata Hari asked not to have her hands tied and no blindfold placed on her eyes. She blew a kiss to the executioners and said, "I am ready, gentlemen." Thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope these photos impressed you. Some may have made you angry, brought a smile, made you happy, or perhaps even caused some negativity. Feel free to leave your comments and stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye.